One of the benefits of having the Subgrade Model Manager is that you can now create subgrade models of model builder models. Now in this particular example we have a single road going north-south. We have some curb turns. As you can see here, I've got the model being displayed in Model Viewer, potentially to a future development, but we've also got some independent string design, and namely the parking bay, which is being displayed down here. So this is an independent string. We've used Model Builder to cut the road out of this particular part of the design. We've also got an entirely separate car park where we have made sure the elevations are tying into the road at the start, but the design of this car park is completely independent. We've also got an island represented in there and a dish. So many different elements for this model builder model, and what we're going to do is fire up the Subgrade Model Manager for the first time using the default features to see what we can achieve in respect of a subgrade surface. So I'm going to close down Model Viewer and then click on the Subgrade Model Manager button. Immediately we're looking to create a model, so we would head over to the Create Submodel button. In here we're going to put in a name for our model, which is Roads and Parking. The base model in this case is going to be our built model, so we're going to be picking Design Base. The sampled surface, which will be referenced in the background, will be our combined NS and LiDAR, which is a civil 3D surface. The section style, we always recommend if you're starting off, simply use default datum, which should look for the bottom layer of all of your subgrade on all of your templates being applied in your model. We haven't got any grading strings, so we're going to uncheck that. We are simply going to click OK. We'll have a look at the boundary retraction in a second once we've established whether or not we need it. So immediately the model is shown. Now the first thing I would do is actually go and apply that boundary retraction because I've got excess triangulation which I don't really want to see. So we go to Model Properties, Apply Boundary Retraction, always looking for a value that is not less than our sampling rate on our strings, which in this case would be about 10. So 15 should be fine. Let's click OK. Now if we have a look at a cross section of this road by left clicking on a section break line, right clicking display cross section, you can see in context now how the design of this road is in comparison to what we're seeing. So what we're actually seeing here is the left side being constructed with a curb and 3 layers of subgrade, 1 layer of subgrade on the right hand side, and then the curb. Now if we minimize this, we're actually seeing at the moment all of those layers. Now what I'd like to see is only the layers that are being used for the purposes of this model. So I'm going to say don't show emitted regions by toggling the emitted regions box. So now all I'm seeing are the regions or layers of subgrade which are being used for the purposes of my subgrade surface. If we have a look over by panning over here to the car park, what's happening with the car park and the way that this is being modeled is that the very bottom layer of each string is being modeled together. So the dish, which you can see here, the very bottom layer of subgrade is being modeled, and the bottom layer of the curb subgrade on the island here is being modeled, and then the edge of the car park, that curb, that bottom subgrade layer is also being modeled, and all the software is simply doing is connecting them together to create a single surface. The same goes with the car parking bay, which is parallel here to the road. We've used Model Builder here to trim the sections of the car park out, so this is why you can only see the edge of bitumen. Then what's happening is that the software is then triangulating between the curb subgrade on the design to the bottom layer automatically. So it's always looking for the bottom layer of each of your strings and simply trying to connect them together. There is just one small thing that we would need to change on here, and at the moment if we zoom up to where the road begins to narrow, you'll see that the resolve is currently cutting across the design. Now traditionally when you have the resolve applied to the back of curved subgrade, it resolves itself or batters to the design. Now in this case if we left click, in fact what we might do is just remove the emitted break lines for clarity, left click on the curb subgrade here, you'll see that we've got a resolve, but that resolve is resolving to the design, which essentially means it's trying to resolve to itself and there's nothing there. So what we wanted to do is to resolve to the natural by picking the natural in here. Very quickly we can make that change and click apply. So that's now resolving to the natural surface, which as you can see is very, very close to that curved subgrade. We could always add a user break line and then apply resolve to that to make sure it's slightly offset away from the edge of the design. We've also got the same issue on the other side. If we left click on the curb, on the linear break line, the resolve to surface is currently going straight to the design surface, so we'll just go ahead and make that change. But you can see, as far as the software being able to manage this in an initial instance, we have ended up with what is essentially a almost complete subgrade model, which we can now go in and make changes to as we wish.